I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. If you hear me laughing, we just had a bit of fun at the pre-show. K-Dot, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I don't know what day of the week it is. What is that? Thursday? No, Wednesday?
It's Wednesday. We are recording on Wednesday.
Right. I'm so confused. Yeah, it's been a good week, mostly. Yeah. I had a really late last night into the day, so I'm a little punch drunk.
Gotcha. And I had a really stupid day yesterday. We're going to go ahead and get into that after the pod. But of course, we're going to talk about the sports first. And so we actually made national headlines when Ron Rivera was speaking to the media and addressed some things about Eric Bieniemy that were asked by local reporters over here. He went into a little bit of detail. Eric Bieniemy did not necessarily push back on anything Rivera said. He just was talking about himself. It was just his standard press conference. So he answered some questions in the third person. So we're going to talk about the Eric Bieniemy, Ron Rivera dynamic and what occurred. Then we're going to talk about what we want to see in the very first game of this NFL season for us, the preseason specifically against the Cleveland Browns. That game is Friday, 7:30 p.m. So by the time this releases, tonight, 7:30 p.m. and it's going to be on Fox nationally and apparently NBC as well. That might just be local, but Fox definitely nationally. And then we're going to talk about Hard Knocks. We both watched the first episode of Hard Knocks. It did not disappoint. In fact, it exceeded my expectations. I loved it. I'm looking forward to hearing what K-Dot thought as well. Then we get into the comment mailbag where K-Dot apparently has a surprise for us, and we do have a comment. And then after the pod where I will detail my stupidity. K-Dot, are you ready?
I am ready.
Perfect. All right. So once again, Ron Rivera was addressing the media when they asked about Eric Bieniemy. More specifically, they had heard that, Eric Bieniemy's coaching style may be rubbing people the wrong way. Was that true? Is that actually happening? And are they having difficulty adapting to his approach? To which he said, yes, they have. They've come to me. They've told me, hey, we don't really know about this style. To which he said, why don't you just go talk to him? And a lot of them came back enlightened, apparently, which was quite fun to hear. It was enlightening for them, was the word. And so he continues to talk about Eric Bieniemy, his style. He sticks to what he believes in. Jack Del Rio, slightly different in his approach, with his experience, formerly being a head coach and maybe molding more to the personnel that he has as opposed to being rigid, like it seems Eric is being. And so then, of course, he is asked more about it, and he ends up saying, they're a little bit concerned. Is he worried that Eric's riding them too hard? They were just a little concerned, is the direct quote. Eric Bieniemy, of course, maintained his values through his press conference. And K-Dot, now we get to your thoughts. What did you think of the Eric Bieniemy stuff? What did you think of the Ron Rivera comments? Floor is yours.
So I used to work for an insurance company for a few years. I was one of the top salesmen that they had. Broke records coming out of training and all kinds of stuff. Made a lot of fucking money doing it. Now there was a metric that they used to cover, because they'd have all kinds of metrics on what your calls and everything, because it's a numbers game sometimes, right? They used to have this thing called AHT, average handling time. That was how long your calls were, right? Now my AHT was, I think they said, the top AHT in the Fredericksburg, Virginia office, and I was top 2 or 3 within the entire company, like all around ever. Fucking nuts. And then when they looked at the other average handling time, the only reason anybody's was higher was because of errors or glitches that didn't turn the phone off. So I took the longest time to get through the calls. Now, the only thing with that is that while I did have a lot of people get really upset at me in my AHT, I also, you guys can see it right now, I love to talk, right? So my closing percentage was also one of the highest they'd ever seen in the company. So I take time on my calls, but I'd always get the job done, right? And every once in a while, you didn't sell every policy. There were some times where there are moments where I should have maybe shut up, maybe present the rate and just ask for the sale and wait for them to say something. Because every once in a while, with that average handle time being up, you want to talk to cover up everything. You talk yourself out of something. You talk yourself to fuck it up, right? And that's what I think. Long story is my average handling time.
I see where you're going.
To get to Ron Rivera, I had almost absolute no problem with anything that he said in that press conference. He was asked a question by a reporter, a good question, because even me looking at shorts that we could clip up from last week's episode for this week,
Right.
We talked about Eric Bieniemy and how loud and crazy he is. It's been a topic of conversation around DC since he's been here, since minicamp, and knowing that he's been the most vocal that anybody's seeing at the training camp, right? So the reporter asked a legitimate question, and Ron Rivera gave a very truthful answer. My only thing that gets to it is like, everything was truth and everything was good and everything was value add to answering the question until he got into the Jack Del Rio comparisons and started getting into how long this guy's been a coach or this dude doesn't have experience. And that's where you get into Ron. You were doing fine, buddy. You didn't need to go that far. But even if he did go that far, it's not like he lied there either. We all know Eric Bieniemy's never been a head coach. We've been looking at that situation in Kansas City for years, wondering why the fuck he hasn't been a head coach, right? And me and you have been critical, at least I've been very critical, or at least not critical, very optimistic, but cautiously optimistic about Eric Bieniemy and his talent level when it comes to being an offense coordinator, even,
yes,
what impact he's going to have. But it doesn't get past the point that one of the breath of fresh air that we had from the Bieniemy thing was that he was going to bring something a little bit different to this coaching staff. We hear about the coaching staff and how timid they were, how people were kind of, it almost sounded like people were afraid to bring new ideas and new thought processes and talking to guys. You got that feeling in the coaching staff that there wasn't that give and take that they needed to have. It's perfectly fine for somebody not to necessarily be completely in tune with this guy's coaching style if you've never been used to it. And we all know it's a different era in football when it comes to coaching. There's all at the Pee-wee level, high school, fucking college. You don't have the rah guys the same way you used to in football. It's just not the case. There are less of them than there used to be. And some guys, I mean, I actually applaud some of the players that if they did have a problem with the coaching, feeling confident enough and being vulnerable enough to admit something. That's a fucking man thing to fucking do. Anybody calling them weak or anything together, it's like, what? What are you talking about? It's not, oh my God, we don't want to practice because Eric's being very mean to us. It's, hold on, man. This dude's approaching me in a way that I ain't used to. Hey, Ron, is this like, what's going on? And he's like, hey, dude, this is what we're building. This is the team. Go talk to him. And then what did he say? They went and talked and they got something from it. That's the way a team's supposed to operate. The only thing that we're not used to is that level of candor by the head coach, which I don't have a problem with if he's speaking the truth. And he wasn't necessarily throwing anybody under the bus. It's just when he got into the comparisons with Jack Del Rio, got a little bit iffy.
Well, the only thing I would push back on is I think we are used to this candor from this head coach, specifically when he didn't know that we could get eliminated from the playoffs the last time we played the Cleveland Browns, for example. So we have doses of truth continuously from Ron Rivera. In fact, it's to the point I'm saying shut up because it's too much. It honestly is allowing people in. The nice thing about the ownership change, the nice thing about the team now is that we can truly focus on football, right? And here we go again. And I completely agree with what you said about that. I love the AHT analogy, right? That he maybe just went a little too far, kept speaking, and all of a sudden, and I've done that before. I've done that with friends. I've done that with my ex. I've done that with family. Like, you know, you just go a little too far and you go,
girlfriend, you absolutely have done it.
You've done it. You had it. And then you blew it. You
looked at it. There was that moment of silence. You're like, maybe I should say something. Oh shit! I shouldn't have said it.
And I agree. And I agree that that is what happened here. Now the problem is it just keeps happening, and so that's what gets frustrating for me as a fan is that it just seems to happen frequently enough. We talked about the media training, how Eric Bieniemy hit a home run in his press conference, and as an assistant head coach, wouldn't it be cool if he taught Ron a little bit about how to deal with the media and be a bit smarter about it? Because later on, Eric Bieniemy was asked a number of questions about it. And he did say, yes, I do ride these guys hard, of course, you know, and I'm going to be their biggest critic, but I'm also going to be their number one fan. He once again said all the right things. Time will tell, K-Dot, if this offense ends up being good, right? But from the perspective of media, from the perspective of handling the questions, the man is good. I mean, I'll give you that much, right? Like, he is very, very good. And I think a lot of fans line up with, there's still a lot of pent up, man, these players are soft. I don't know that the players are soft, right? Just to your point, it is a very old school style of coaching that people aren't really used to anymore. I think Ron said that very early on. It's a different time. So I understand that. That being said, when Eric was talking about, hey, I want people to stand up straight and jog to the huddle and all the little things and that they do add up, I also found myself agreeing there, K-Dot. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I'm reminded to remember when the introductory press conference for Eric was there and Terry McLaurin was there.
Yes.
And Terry went to Eric Bieniemy as soon as he got off the stage and said, like, I can't wait to work with you. I don't mind hard coaching. Mm-hmm. He had to explicitly say that to Eric Bieniemy. I personally don't mind hard coaching.
Yeah.
And he let him know, like, I don't mind that. So that gave, what was the context clues in that? Number one, they're probably not being coached hard currently. So he's like, I welcome the challenge to have that, right? And number two is that, like, I need to articulate to someone that I understand that your coaching style might be different than other people's coaching styles. And I appreciate that. And some guys respond to it. It's how the team collectively responds to it. Everybody's a different kind of learner, different kind of respond to all kinds of the people that need compliment fucking sandwiches before you can be critical to them. There's some people that just need you to lay it out, spell it out to them. Everybody's a little bit different, but what I welcome is it's something different to this organization and has been the last few years. We've reached a cap as far as this sort of mentality or whatever was going on in Ashburn. Let's go past it. This is worth a shot. Let's get a breath of fresh air in there to try something new. And that's just new from a coaching style standpoint, nothing to do with X's and O's, just a mentality and a way of looking at it. I've been very vocal that, like, I think that this team feels very blah to me sometimes. We're going to talk about Hard Knocks. That to me, and we'll bring that up there, Annette. Sure. As far as even when you look at the Lions on Hard Knocks last year and you see that energy level. Yeah. And it's just like, I never really get that other than you hear every once in a while people pick up between Montez and Chase, right? Like, you don't really hear that. And that's what I want to see more of. I like that. It feels fun to me. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, what I'd also say, I'm not going as far as you as far as what I think about Eric Bieniemy and his media training. Look, I applaud all these things. I think that they're good and this, that, and the other. I am still nobody's talking about it from my viewpoint. And my viewpoint is that sometimes you got a lot of loud mouths that are all fucking air.
Yeah. Listen, that's entirely possible. We did say time will tell with this offense. It could be terrible.
So that's my concern. It's like there's a lot of bark and no bite. Like, I want to see that. That's what I'm looking out for. I also don't blame Ron for being honest in the sense of, like, I do applaud certain organizations like Bill Belichick. You can't get fucking anything from, and there's something with that, right? But it's like, but there's also, it takes the winning he did in order to be that way. If he's not a winner and he's a dick to the media and everything else, that motherfucker's on his ass, right? So it's, of course, there's a combination. Everybody can't be Bill Belichick.
Eric understands what he's doing, though, right? I mean, think about the move he made. Okay. I'm talking about
Ron. Yeah. So Ron's standpoint, as far as, like, being too open, is one of the criticism that you've levied, and I think some other people have levied as far as
that is true.
He talks too much. And my thing is that, like, the combination of you haven't really proved anything yet, so I can't be a dick to the media, with this particular market's media. Some of the best sports journalists in the country are here. Some of the best guys as far as in a press conference on knowing the right question to ask to bind somebody up to where they have to give you an answer are holding people's feet to the fire. There are few media markets in the world, fuck the country, in the world, that are better than this one. There is an element of Ron needs to be truthful. I understand the idea that, like, you keep that Fort Knox up, right? Because everything's got to stay in house is the way it's got to be. But I think the combination of the media that has and does a good job. I'm not criticizing them, but also with a coach just saying, okay, I'm gonna play I'm gonna be the good guy for these guys. I'm gonna tell them what I think. I'm gonna be open. I'm gonna be honest, which is an applaudable thing, right? In a place where you don't really get a lot of honesty. To me, it's great. I think the criticism lies on Twitter and the Colin Cowherds and the aggregates that spin this into saying, what did you hear Ron Rivera say that made me think these guys were soft? I saw nothing in that made me think the guys were soft. What I did see on Twitter is a link to the article, and it's someone's comment that these guys are soft. And it's like that negativity and that bullshit is the thing that needs to change. It's not that Ron said something. And this is why, like, the press conference he gave today with the statement, to me, was more damaging than what he fucking said yesterday.
Oh, I disagree.
So the reason I say that is that, to me, you doubled down. Yes, I said what I said yesterday. None of it was untrue.
I'm just going to cut you off for a second. For those that don't know, the statement basically that Ron Rivera had read was backtracking sort of what he said yesterday. There was a comparison between Jack Del Rio, Eric Bieniemy. He's like, that was not my intention. Went too far. And he was also talking about how much he loves and appreciates Eric Bieniemy in the building. Anyway, please go ahead, K-Dot.
To me, Ron Rivera needs to today double down. I said what I said, guys. If anybody wants to take it and misconstrue it in some other way, they can. What did I say? I said that there were some dudes that didn't necessarily appreciate off the rip the communication that Eric Bieniemy was displaying. So what did they do? They manned up and talked to him and understood and learned something, and they have a better understanding of the way that he conducts himself. And now we as a team move together on that. I see some people in the media calling my guys soft. It takes guts in this macho BS industry that we're in to actually say you have a problem, to actually be vulnerable enough to say you have a problem. You double down on that. Then the Jack Del Rio thing. Hey guys, I don't know if you know, but I know one has been a head coach, one hasn't been a head coach. Did I say one's better than the other? No, I say there's a learning process in this whole thing, and we are all behind Eric, and he's doing all the right things. Y'all can take it however you want to take it. I said what I said. Like, that to me is what I want to see. I don't want to see this meandering, oh boy, I created another stink in the media and I need to make sure that I'm going to try to be, fuck that, man. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, well, so, okay, I can see where you are coming from. I still think he did do something, I don't know if wrong's the word, but just, like you said, spoke too many words. Put himself in that situation. He started digging a little
distractions.
bit.
Like you're
exactly.
You're a Washington football fan. The last thing we want,
right? Exactly. Is more distractions. And you know what else? See, here's the reason people love Eric Bieniemy. Here's the reason people love Taylor Heineke. They see and connect to the passion, right, around them, and that is what we have, and that's what made this so interesting. Because then once Eric speaks, of course you feel the passion. Of course he speaks well. So then you go, man, love it. Players must be soft, because if it's against Eric Bieniemy, right, there's this idea of against, then you're not passionate. Then you are just a part of the old guard. Then you were just, and I can understand that from the outside perspective. Now we follow the local reporters, and we hear about training camp. They're working hard. Like, there's no question that these guys are working hard. So don't think the players are soft. I think they're just shell shocked. I think that's where it's coming from. We are used to a certain style of coaching, even a certain range. And this is way beyond, for stats people out there, the standard deviations, where this is insane. We've never seen it before. I don't know of any other camps where you hear this level of screaming from Eric Bieniemy, right? To the point it's a national story, right? To the point where he keeps interviewing for jobs, for head coaching jobs, and it's just not happening, right? So there is a certain degree of passion that probably scares some people. And from the outside looking in, it's easy to call the player soft. I'm not willing to do that. K-Dot's not willing to do that. I think it's just different to them. Any final thoughts here before we move on to what we want to see in the Browns game this tonight?
I just think everybody needs to, like, this whole thing is one of those situations where I'm like, breathe. Everybody fucking just breathe.
It's like, ultimately a non-story.
This is nothing. This is not a fucking, this is everyone used to being able to clown Washington, looking for another reason to clown Washington. And because, I mean, we're out of the damn sign era. Like, what is it going to be? I guess Ron Rivera is going to be the laughing stock for us here. Maybe some of the soft players are going to be laughing stock here for, like, and everybody's searching for that thing. And I'm just like, there's bullshit and then there's things that are actually substantive. And I just think that this was more bullshit than anything. And like I said, I really do think the only thing that I'll go to as far as from an attitude standpoint is I want to see them match Eric, which is what I wished Ron did in the press conference that we saw today.
Fair enough. And I think ultimately it's a slow news cycle. They were waiting for Hard Knocks to come out. Like the moment it came out, they were like, oh, cool, let's talk about Hard Knocks. And that just sort of is what it is.
Oh,
more
also,
of a non-story. Yes,
one other thing, I did finally finish NFL Quarterback on Netflix.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and Ron Rivera, Eric Bieniemy's definitely more featured in the last 2 episodes.
Yes, he is.
Than he ever had before, even with him convincing Pat to go and leave the game.
Yep.
And I will 100% admit it made me feel better.
There you go. Cool. I was waiting for that part. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the very first football game of this season. Once again, it's a preseason game. Happens tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Game can be seen on Fox. Sam Howell has been named the starter. He is going to play a series, 2 series. We'll see how many series he ends up playing. Jacoby Brissett backs him up. Jake Fromm, of course, third string over there. K-Dot, what do you want to see from the offense? What do you want to see from the defense? Are there specific players you're looking out for? This is completely wide open to you to say whatever you'd like to say.
First off, I realize that so pull the curtain back, guys. I accidentally got high before we did this episode. Okay.
Could be the reason we were laughing earlier.
Yeah, I'm a little out there. I had a little bit of Keith with a cigarette. It was I was on autopilot and fucked up.
In rhythm. We call it in rhythm.
I'm realizing that like you're doing a really good job of letting people know that it's the day that the episode's coming out, and I'm doing a really shitty job. I was like, damn, he is a professional out here. I feel like a little bump. So for tonight's game, guys, what we're gonna do. I think it's more along the lines of what it is that you were saying last week about what it is you want to see early on in the season. I just want to see the guys actually play and not have to deal with a bunch of false starts and bullshit. Like that's my dream and hope, right? Is it like we can just get enough actual football to start looking and seeing guys get into rhythms, right? I don't necessarily want half the playbook to be seen in fucking preseason game 1. Like I just want it. Can they get Sam in a rhythm early? Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Like what can they get some short passes off so that he could start feeling it, right? What does the running back shares look like? Like, what is the combination of Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson going to look like in an Eric Bieniemy offense?
Sure.
It felt like last year they didn't know. It was sort of just ride the hot hand to a certain degree, depending on the game, or let's just feed Brian because it's a feel good story. I didn't know. So I'm really interested to see how Gibson lines up and what they're going to do as far as that splitting of carries. And then defense, just intensity, guys. Like I just want to see these dudes having fun flying all over the field. That's what I'm looking for on defense is just intensity. Do we have it? And if Forbes ends up playing, which he should, can he keep up? Can he keep up? And as long as those things are true, then I'm feeling really, really pretty, especially because you said like tonight's supposed to be the first preseason game.
Yes.
But the Browns have played in one already.
The Browns have in fact played one already. Deshaun Watson will play in this one though, and he's going to play a few series.
Right. And they looked like, I will say their backups and everything it was not an exciting game by any means, but those dudes, they had some good energy to them against the Packers in that game. They won that preseason game, but yeah, I just want to see
against the Jets. I think you're still used to seeing Rodgers with totally fine. So listen, like you said, like I said last week, I don't want to see any false starts. I don't want to see you want no illegal formations. You want to be able to see the offense run. It's a brand new system, right? We talked a lot about Eric Bieniemy here, and I want to see how they perform just from a formation standpoint. What looks do we get? Do we get a lot of motion? I'm curious about the amount of motion. We've heard about it. We've heard about some shovel passes. I would, from the passing perspective, like to see there's a concept of the soccer, short, long. It's supposed to create an opportunity to be able to get in behind the defense. Similar in football, right? I want to see a couple quick passes for Sam Howell to get him in rhythm and then take a deep shot. And let's see what that deep ball looks like, for example. I want to see that from Sam Howell. I'm curious to also see the level and balance of play calling. If Eric Bieniemy's calling this, and he is, are we running a lot? Are we passing a lot? Is it balanced? What's the situation? If this is truly his first time calling plays, I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what he's looking for, because if he's running a lot, that means he's looking at run blocking. That means he's looking at vision. That means he's looking at lanes. So looking from his perspective, I'm so curious to see how that plays out. On the defensive side, I'll say flat out, I want to see Emmanuel Forbes get a pick. He's supposed to be so long and athletic and has had a pretty good camp. I want to see him pick off Deshaun Watson. Why not? He's going to be starting. And I think he has every possibility, especially if Watson's as rusty as he was last season. I suspect he'll be a touch better. But if he gets a pick, I mean, first off, we're going to have to do a good job just tempering the expectations. But more specifically, you are going to have to do a good job tempering the expectations, because I'm going to be leading the charge along with the good Commanders fans that we know and love, saying Emmanuel Forbes is incredible. He's going to lead all rookies in interceptions, maybe even be all pro. We heard the Sauce stuff. We know Jalen Ramsey loves him. This train's going to take off. And it's not just the A train, my friend. This is going to be a national train. This is going to be a local train, and potentially an international train. We don't know where people are watching this game. This is going to be a lot of fun if Emmanuel Forbes gets a pick. Also, just want to see some sacks. Cool. Got it. Done.
Just in my high mind, I'm thinking about how an international train system works from like the United States. Does it go underwater? Is it floating on the surface? Like, all right. Yeah, I can see that. I what I'm seeing right now from a preseason standpoint, for us in this podcast is what I'm going to need to be here for the rest of the season.
Yes.
Which is, I just saw how well you lit up over the thought process of Emmanuel Forbes against the Browns in preseason game number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can call me Mr. Medium. Okay, the rest of this goddamn season.
We got A-Train and Mr. Medium over here.
Expectations seem like they might be a little too high for things right now. I mean, maybe Eric Bieniemy's working on you. Just we'll keep things a little more medium here on this end. Realizing that like new offense coordinator, never called any plays before. Sam Howell's got 1 game under his belt. Offensive line not looking too great. Like, let's just let's rein it in just a little bit, homie. Yeah, woo! Pick 6, Mail Forbes, Hall of Fame. That's
listen, if that happens, oh my god, going live immediately. I mean, that's gonna be electric. God help you if he gets a pick 6 in this game.
I was just thinking, Sam Howell's first pass was a touchdown, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I'm thinking about all the times that the first plays for Washington players that we thought were going to be great started off amazing. You remember
Clint Portis,
64-yard
touchdown run against Stanford.
Adrian Peterson.
His first carry for us a touchdown? Okay. I didn't remember that.
He was just chugging. It looked like every step it looked like he was recharging, like his hands were going 3 times.
He does that little head, like
he does the head
like a full-on sprinter. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, give me some more. Give me some more. All right, it's great. All right, pick 6 Emmanuel Forbes. What does that mean for you?
Sean Taylor, by the way, scored in his first in the Hall of Fame game.
All right, you just made it really, really sad, bro.
Rest in peace. But he did, and he was spectacular. I mean, come on.
He was.
Yeah, rest in peace, obviously. But if we're talking about football, my God, I mean, like, it's pretty.
No, you're right. The only other thing I'll add for the preseason game is I want to see what the linebackers are doing.
That was going to be my other thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
If there's one position that I'm looking at more than any other, because I don't know what offensive line is going to show us really, just not mistakes, but is there anyone shining in the linebacker core at all?
I'm going to take it a step further and say more specifically the backups.
That's what I'm saying. Any of them throughout the entire game.
Because if Jamin gets suspended at all, we don't know what's going on there. Well, we're going to need him to step up, right? Yeah,
it happens a lot. Like we'll talk about Hard Knocks, but every once in a while you'll see like that try-hard linebacker, that undrafted guy, and he's just all over the fucking field. Like, who's that guy for us? Who's the dude that's going to show out? Because we've actually had a few of those dudes, the unheralded linebackers that kind of come in. They're not world beaters, but they do a good job. Will Compton, great guy in that sense. On preseason, he used to shine like a fucking diamond out there on the field at some points. Even your Hall of Fame, what's our boy's name?
Sabis Reyes.
No, the linebacker. Linebacker.
You're talking about Cole Holcomb, superstar.
There we go, Cole Holcomb, the mullet,
superstar.
He had some moments in preseason where it was just like looking great. So like, I want to see what are they doing at linebacker? Is there someone that's like hungry for it? Is there one that sees like blood in the water? What's happened with Davis? I don't know. I got an opportunity to come out and show out. Like, is there one of those dudes on this roster?
Yeah, I think that's a really good shout there, K-Dot, because I think you and I both have a lot, and Commanders fans across the board have a lot of faith in the defensive line. There's cautious optimism around the secondary, right? We talked about Camp Curl and his contract extension last week that we would like to see happen sooner rather than later, by the way. And then we also talked about the rest of the secondary, Benjamin St. Just, Emmanuel Forbes, Derek Forrest, like Kendall Fuller. I mean, this is an exciting unit on the back end, but it's that middle. It is that middle. How is that going to look? One last thing, Eric Bieniemy being a running back guy and being primarily in charge of the running backs and their growth in Kansas City, he did bring in Derek Gore, who was in Kansas City, and we did draft Chris Rodriguez over Junior in the 6th round. So I'm curious to see what they look like. Is Derek going to look that much better because he understands all the blocking schemes, for example? Right. And then is Chris, a rookie, just going to explode? It's going to be very interesting to see the running backs because we also have fan favorites in Jonathan Williams and Jarrett Patterson. Both had pretty decent games against the Dallas Cowboys week 18 when both Gibson and Robinson were out. And how do we use Antonio Gibson? I don't expect us to show everything when it comes to him, but we may see him in the slot, for example, on occasion. So curious to see that. Any other thoughts?
I'm excited, man. The more we talk about it, the more it's just like I can't wait to turn on my TV. It's so goddamn long, man.
And it is, this is the very first game in since 99, right?
Wow.
That it's not gonna be a Dan Snyder team. So there's a lot of excitement there from that perspective. Like, we have made that. It's very cool. And take a moment to appreciate that if you're a Commanders fan. You've been through a hell of a lot, right? So enjoy it. I
legit thought I might tear up just thinking about that. Like, this is
it's serious, dude.
Yeah, no shit. Like, this is the first time. Like, we didn't think this would happen. It's happened.
It's preseason, but it counts.
Near the team. Right.
Yeah, 100%. Wow. You're about to see a down where Dan Snyder doesn't own the team, and that's really fucking cool.
That's fucking awesome.
All right, and you know what else is cool was Hard Knocks that featured this week with the New York Jets. Peter Schrager on NFL Network said it felt like an Aaron Rodgers commercial. I would be hard pressed to disagree with that. They did show a lot of Rodgers, but the fanfare around him was really fun to watch. I absolutely for a first episode of Hard Knocks, especially, I thought it was great, considering the New York Jets were like, we don't want to do this, and everybody else said we don't want to do this, and then the NFL was like, you're going to do it. It looks like the Jets have embraced it. So far, it's only been the one episode, but it was a ton of fun getting to know some of the guys for the New York Jets, getting to know Robert Saleh a little bit, seeing Nathaniel Hackett, his interactions with Rodgers, the Sean Payton thing when they're playing the pylon game. I thought it was great. K-Dot, what were your thoughts on the episode?
Just let you know, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Camera just did a little fritzy thing.
You're totally fine. That is,
but it should be back.
Oh, and even better than ever. Go ahead.
Here we go. My pillow situation's fucked up again. All right, so pull the curtain back just a second without going too far in deep on this. When I was first getting into podcasting, so I was doing Dish or Divided as one of your co-hosts or a guest, and I was really doing the ASOS thing, and we really started taking off with the All Sorts of Sports channel. We were getting thousands of views every fucking episode.
Right.
It's a far cry from where that was now compared to where it was then. I had some of our biggest episodes were me being extremely controversial in my takes about Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
And
I would say that's why you guys took off.
Might be. Something happened outside of the podcast that made me have to re-gauge the way that I treated that. And I've been in the territory where
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've been in a territory where I've been critical of Aaron, especially this last season in Green Bay, but I have actually, I would say, have changed personally in the way that I feel about him. I think the Pat McAfee stuff has helped. I just think that he's also grown quite a bit. And I will say, yeah, if anyone were to look at this Hard Knocks thing as a Aaron Rodgers commercial, I'm buying the fucking product, guys. Like, I'm all in. This, to me, this team feels like a team where you have a lot. I'm so high on the Jets. I'm so bullish on these fucking Jets. And I have been before Hard Knocks came out. Like every time we're doing any sort of preseason predictions, like the Jets, the closer we get to the season, the more I'm feeling really good about
By the way, a lot of money is going to be thrown on the Jets as Hard Knocks continues. Just to be clear. Yeah.
But you talk about a team that was scrappy and they got a lot of fucking talent on defense. Really, really young team, right? You look at that wide receiving core, you look at the guys on defense. They had both the offensive rookie and offensive defensive player of the year. Or defensive player, offensive defensive player. Defensive rookie of the year. Well, offensive rookie. Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. Lots of young talent on that team. But then you have somebody like Aaron Rodgers who has been criticized of the way that he deals with young receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Been criticized as far as how there's always been controversy over how he was necessarily taught by his predecessor, Brett Favre, and also where his factor has been in the way that he's groomed Jordan Love. To groom, to be the guy there for Zach Wilson, be a good teammate. There's also just how weird he can be off the field. And it feels as though he's coming to attack every single one of the criticisms with 1 year right here in New York. It's like if you had a laundry list of every criticism you have for Aaron Rodgers, he's giving himself an opportunity to answer all of them in 1 season or 2 seasons here with the Jets. And that to me is awesome. And to be able to show who he is from a personality standpoint, I am on record for the last 2 years saying, even when I was controversial in my sense about him, if there was anyone in the NFL, I think I'd actually be great friends with, it'd be him. I just think he's a great fucking dude. God damn, I sounded so fanboyish. I don't want to say that. He looks like a fun fucking hang. And y'all know the way I feel about movies. There were basketball references and all kinds of shit happening.
Yeah.
But then you also look at the Nathaniel Hackett piece. Everybody's seen what it is that Sean Payton said last week, and they addressed it here in the Hard Knocks episode. Hackett wants to prove something. He wants to prove that he can fucking do this thing. And it just feels like a team where it's just like everything just feels right. It just feels like this feels like a Disney movie. It just feels like there's this redemption arc happening. Everyone knew they were going to be the most compelling story on Hard Knocks this season, and it's living up to the billing. This episode was a lot of fun. This episode was a ton of fun. I love what they did early on. Let's get with the stars that everybody wants to see off the rip. Let's end the episode talking about some of these dudes there that you already know who the stars. We're not gonna hide them. We're not gonna wait. Let's just get them out there, and that felt fucking good. Also, Lee Schreiber, man. Underrated, my bro.
How cool was that?
You want to put a helicopter? I was like, is that the voice of God on the chopper? And it fucking was the voice of God on the chopper. That was dope, man. This was just a fun episode of Hard Knocks with a bunch of people that are right now fairly easy to root for. And even when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and all the criticism that he's faced for the last 2 years, a lot justified. He just looks like he's having fun, and he's doing a great job on this reclamation project as far as getting him there. And just to think about this part of it, a lot of people say, you've even heard in this episode, people are calling him the GOAT. I've said that he might have the best tools of anybody that's ever existed at the quarterback position outside of maybe Mahomes. And I actually say Vic, but that's a long story.
Wouldn't fault you. Yeah.
There's just from a tools.
My God. Vic was unbelievable.
Right. If he doesn't go to prison. Oh my God. And if he actually give a shit about learning, it would have been, yeah. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Those are the only 2 guys that have won Super Bowls with multiple teams. Those are 2 guys that you'd say, if there's a natural progression as far as the overlap to the end of the career, Aaron Rodgers seemed to be the natural progression of that 1 to 2 guy. Are you number 1 or you're number 2 in the league? He's right there. And if he can pull off what those 2 motherfuckers did and get another one, the conversation as far as where he stands on the all-time pantheon, it starts getting some crazy work. We start looking at it, is he number 3? I think that's a conversation. Is he top 5? That's a fucking conversation. Certainly. I don't know if anybody's prepared for it, but it's fucking coming.
That is interesting. That is interesting. Because I think, there's Mahomes, Brady at 1 and 2, Montana's there. That's interesting. The things I wanted to notice, one, Hard Knocks was funny. It was very, very funny. The chopper with the voice of God. I was like, who is it going to be? And then you see it's him. And then he's narrating himself. I wanted to wear like he's talking about the iron shirt. Like that was very, very funny. Another scene that I thought was underrated funny was when the defensive coordinator, this is the very beginning, they're showing Rodgers make a couple spectacular throws, right? The defensive coordinator's got the defense in the room and he goes, that is good offense against good defense. And there is maybe one human on the planet that can make that throw. And he's ours, guys. He's ours. And you see Sauce just like just dapping somebody up. Like that was a very funny moment where, you know, you're expecting, hey, guys, we need to do better. It's like, no, they're sick and we know we're sick, right? He just made an insane throw. We played that well. There is a confidence about this team that is infectious. Aaron Rodgers is one of the most unique characters you will ever come across. That is infectious. You talk about media training. That guy's brilliant when it comes to the media, right? Sure, he had the immunized thing, which like you can definitely knock him for that. Definitely. But overall, the guy, when he puts a message out, it is calculated. It is very smart. And man, does he know what to say in the right moments. The way that he's looking after Zach Wilson, and you could see the joy with Zach Wilson. Like people were trashing him last year. I was too. I was really high on Zach Wilson when he came out of college. You know, I love Zach Wilson. I see the talent. I'm like, my God, you see one of the no-look throws. You're like, that looks incredible. Like there's clearly talent there. To see him have fun, to see Rodgers on the sideline during the Hall of Fame game say, throw it to Malik. Just throw it to Malik. Like, don't worry about it. Just throw it to Malik. That's simple. And that's the deep bomb, right? That is cool. Sauce Gardner graduating from college. Very cool. Getting into the family stuff a little bit. Garrett Wilson, by the way, is a dog. Mm-hmm. When you can tell when the offense beats the defense and the defense is doing their 20 push-ups and he's screaming, how's the grass taste? That was like, I get why you were offensive rookie of the year last season. Like he is bringing it immediately. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now I get it. This guy won't be tried by anybody. Like he's got that mindset. We talk about how important mindset is, K-Dot.
Are you saying Terry McLaurin could learn from? I'm checking.
I would never. I would never, just to be clear. But I can see why Garrett Wilson is even exceeding what he's capable of doing. That is the power of mindset. Like it was a joy to watch that early on. I was like, this is a guy. Like this is a guy. I get it. He looks small, whatever. Fuck the measurables. Just dude's insane. You could just feel it. And all the different handshakes that Rodgers had with people. It was the one, was it with Sauce? Where they smoked the joint as well. Yeah. Then he puts it out on one of his teammates.
I mean, it's great. It's a great bit.
I mean, it was awesome. And they got into the Hackett Peyton stuff, which I also was like, I'm not sure they're going to do it, but they did. And it was thoroughly entertaining. If you haven't seen it, we spoiled a whole lot of it for you, but still highly recommend seeing it because it was a blast.
Oh, 100%. So two things. Number one is you were just talking about the that's what I'm talking about as far as energy level. When the defense and the offense talking shit, when they're getting at it, I want to see more of that in Washington's training camps. Just being completely honest, as far as stuff that I want to see. But the other thing and the biggest takeaway that I had watching this episode was I was looking through the season of Hard Knocks and I was thinking about this and I actually just pulled up the list. This is the best quarterback we've ever seen in the show.
Far and away. Yeah.
When people talk about the feeling you get, when you hear players talk about the feeling you got when you know you have the guy, when you have a guy, this is the first time I've actually seen that on video outside of Netflix's quarterback series, which felt hard to know because everybody knows, okay, this show centers around this guy, so we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
To see the way that the building moves with a confidence level,
it's
knowing
crazy
that they have that guy. Man, it makes me want a quarterback or make sure that I want Sam Howell to be fucking great here, right? Like the way that when there's the scene when Garrett's just driving his fucking Bronco down the street and they're talking about
early on,
and you're just like, dude, you feel it. Like he feels as though anything is possible right now. Everything I do, everything I put in right now could legitimately get me a Super Bowl. And the way you operate with knowing that, with believing that, with knowing that to be true, is a completely different mode of operating where you're just like, I need to do the best job I can do to be. When you know, you look at the quarterback position, you look at the offense, you're like, we're going to finish 500, guys. Like, you know that.
Yeah.
But it's like when you believe to your core, we have the guy that can make anything possible. The way that whole place operates, man. Lord knows I want to see that from organization.
It's infectious, right? I mean, you run your routes better. You hit the hole faster as a running back. You block better. You attack the quarterback better. It is an infectious energy when you know you have a shot in every game. And Robert Saleh says it very early on, right? He was like, last season, people saw the Jets. It would chalk us up for a W. That doesn't happen anymore. Now they're coming for you.
Yep.
Embrace that.
Yep.
Enjoy that. Like, he very explicitly mentions the shift immediately. And he's not even shy. When he's talking about Aaron Rodgers, he's like, that's the best quarterback I've ever had. There's no like measurement of it at all. No, like, Zach's the most talented, but like, or near
Easy.
the most talented. He's just like, he's the best quarterback I've ever had. And it is abundantly clear that the energy that he brings, I'm excited for episode 2 already. Anyway, I feel like we could go on forever. Go ahead.
Whoever does the New York Jets wall like graphic design art is fucking swimming in the bank. This is the most live, laugh, love football version I've ever seen. BMF on this wall. What is it? All gas, no brakes on this wall. How many fucking acronyms that I couldn't catch them. They're all over the fucking place. They're getting a workout. Motherfucking print machine up there in fucking Jersey getting a goddamn workout.
They really are. And it's yeah. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and jump over to the comment mailbag where we have a comment, but we also have something that KDOT wanted to. I'm supposed to throw it to you now. I don't know what happens here, but then we'll read the comment from Vindo after that. Go ahead.
I shouldn't be trusted to have anything thrown my way right now. But Tony, we've talked about making the A-Train t-shirts, and I did spend some time working on those, and I have a few rough drafts. I don't know if Amit's going to put this actually in an episode.
I will
not. I don't know if it'll be flagged by fucking YouTube. So I wanted Amit to pull up.
Oh my God.
Just rough proofs off the initial. I'm trying to teach the artificial intelligence what Amit looks like without being too racist. It gave you a turban a lot. So we're going.
I'm looking at the photos now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, they are up right now for you guys. Oh my God.
We're getting there. It's close. We're not quite there, but it's getting there. And the t-shirts, I'll make sure they're on my Etsy store, which I already have one. And it'll be available to purchase along with some other digital art if you'd like. And all proceeds will not be snorted up anybody's nose. It'll go back into the podcast itself. Yeah. So just wanted to let you guys know that I haven't forgot about you. I'm slowly making progress as I'm trying to get my life back together and do things professionally and do them the right way. So this is one of those steps. And yes, I will get that fucking movie theater experience.
If I had a better camera, you'd see a tear right now.
Dude, incredible. I have no joke. I randomly pulled those up. They're not the best ones. I'm saving some.
I mean, wow.
It's
a mix of laughter and a mix of just like, bravo, this is art. I can't believe AI can do this.
I have hundreds.
That is crazy.
Yeah, wait until I get to use it to put you in so many weird positions. When I teach it really what you look like, because it can't understand who I am yet. It keeps thinking I'm a different race. It does not understand I'm black at all. It just won't. There's one where I gave it a photo of me and you both. And we both look like we need to be in the fucking sequel to RRR. It's fucking not like the comic book crazy version. Like we look like Bollywood fucking royalty in that motherfucker.
That's pretty cool though. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. And props to KDOT. I was not expecting that. He sent it to me and he said, just wait to look at it until the comment mailbag if you can. I said, sure, sounds good. No clue what to expect. Wow. Tone, way to keep pushing him to do it. And now we're going to go over to another OG, Vindo, with his one comment. Shout out to Vindo. Defenses. Oh, hold on. Let me try that again. I'm still rattled by the A-Train shirts. One more time. Defenses guys out there battling, man. Trust defense is our strength. I hope this new offense can stay on the field longer and the plays aren't as predictable as the last few systems. I'm cool with an air raid type offense because the more passes, the better. To keep the defense guessing like week 1, we should have at least 30 pass plays with the beat up Cardinal secondary. I know our O-line is questionable, but I would at least appreciate the effort to pass the ball from shotgun, not play action. Appreciate the comment there, Vindo. The only thing I'll say, and again, I'm curious about the style of play call from Eric Bieniemy, who is more of a running backs guy, and he's proven to be more of an old school guy with his approach. Old school does mean running, right? Like his entire background seems to be much more in the running. We watched the show, quarterback. It's a lot of Matt Nagy, quarterback's coach. It's a lot of Andy Reid, head coach that's known for working with quarterbacks. You see Bieniemy on the tail end of it, episode 7 and 8, certainly. But the first 6, K-Dot's right, wasn't really featured much. What do you think, K-Dot, in terms of the balance of the offense?
Week 1, I don't know. I just don't know. I think it's one of those things that, like, I guess on paper, looking at last year and this year and like trying to guess who Eric Bieniemy is going to be with this organization, like you'd want to say run first because he's been a running backs coach. But then I'd also say if he's talking about Kansas City and he has any takeaway from Kansas City, it's we have to throw the football. So like, what did you learn? Sure. So it's like, and one would think that one of the reasons you're getting Eric Bieniemy is not just because of what he can do running back. It's like, what did you learn from Andy? What'd you learn? You were in the fucking room the entire time. What'd you learn from Patrick? What'd you learn from Andy? Like you have to. Like that's one of the reasons we get you, right? It's like that's one of the reasons you're rated at any sort of amount is the conversations that are having in the room that other people aren't having. You're being able to see a glimpse into what these guys that are at the top of their craft are doing. What do you learn? You're supposed to steal shamelessly from everything and everyone when you're trying to put together your own thing, right? Right. You don't become a good leader without being a great fucking follower first, right? Like you got to follow the right fucking people. So like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that translates to for us. You've had Ron Rivera talk about like, it was important for our identity to be run first. And you've heard him talk about that ad nauseum for a while now, right? Yeah. So they go and they hire the running backs guy. But then I look at the running backs. I'm like, while I'm excited about these dudes, I'm also looking at the wide receiver talent. We don't have a team that should be run first. Not with those fucking receivers out there. Like we should be throwing the ball. I'm not saying we got to throw deep all the time, but we should be air raid fucking spread off.
Take advantage of your weapons, certainly.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like if you're going to placate the talent of the team to the weapons that you have or to the system you have, it should be more pass.
Certainly.
So I don't know, but that's also all right. What does Sam Howell look like with that offensive line? I am so less interested myself in guessing what the X's and O's are going to be in week 1 as much as it's just notebook out. What looks good? What doesn't look good?
Right.
What can we build on?
Yeah, I completely agree.
And even knowing the Cardinals are not necessarily a great baseline.
Yeah, no, they certainly aren't. And a lot of people are projecting them to be the worst team in the NFL. Colt McCoy, as of right now, is the starter, right? With Kyler Murray out. We should win that game convincingly. We really should, so we'll end up seeing what happens there. But appreciate the comment, Vindo, and appreciate the images, K-Dot, and shout out to Tony once again for making that happen by asking over and over again. And this was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like the video, please share the video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when we post. And we really appreciate you guys for listening. Thanks as always. We release Fridays 2 p.m. And as the season comes closer, K-Dot, we're going to be moving back to 2 a week. And I'm looking forward to that. More District Divided, better for you guys, certainly better for us too. It's a blast. But after the pod begins right now.
Boom.
So I'm an idiot. That's not news. But
I don't find you to be an idiot, bud.
I appreciate that. You're going to change your tune in a moment. So yesterday, I was about to sing that Beatles song, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to tell you about yesterday.
Beatles are overrated. Beach Boys.
Not going to find me disagreeing. I went to happy hour with an old roommate of mine. Shout out Will Decor. He also went to Carleton. He was a few years younger than me, but we ended up rooming together in Columbia Heights when we were living over there. And so he was in town. His girlfriend was in town. Got to meet her. Very nice. It was cool catching up with Will, and then we got time to catch up one-on-one a little bit, and it was great. It was a really, really nice time. I probably had one too many beers, and I also had soccer coming up. So I was like, hey, you know what? I really need to go. I lost track of time catching up with him. Gotta go.
How many beers you at? So you have soccer. You still need to go to soccer.
Yeah.
Right. So you're sitting there. You're having a good time. Are you just sticking to beer? Have you eaten anything?
I'm just sticking to beer. I've had a bit of queso fundido. I've had some fried calamari. Like, I've enjoyed the happy hour. In terms of how many beers, I think it was 3. But before a soccer game,
it's a lot of beer. That's a lot.
It's a good amount, right? So, and I had it pretty quickly because I knew I had soccer, and so it ended up being.
Why'd you do that? All right, I'll let you continue. I don't know. But that was really fishy.
That was really fishy. I'm not going to lie. I just sort of did that. That was sort of my Ron Rivera. I have no idea why that happened. I have no idea why that happened. That was just very strange. You can clip that if you want. So anyway, I go over, games at McKinley Tech, and I take the metro. I'm like, shit, I'm going to be late. I need to get a bike. So I get a bike. I have the bike share and bike over there, jog over, finally get down there, say hi to a couple teammates, try to get in the zone, also trying to like sober up a little bit. And I realized, I haven't put my soccer socks on yet. Normally when I go to soccer, I have my shorts already, I have my socks on and stuff like that. So I run over to the bleachers, to the stands. And you know what they look like at DCPS schools. So like I'm in the stands and I put on my socks. And as I'm walking towards the field, I'm just looking at the field. I smash 2 of my toes into the railing. And I'm just like, But you know what? It's okay. Like, I'll just shake it off. It's going to be totally fine. And so game starts. I'm doing some stretching and I'm realizing I can't really put a whole lot of weight on my left foot. I must have hit that a little bit harder than I thought, but it's probably going to be fine. And so I get onto the field, and then my thought is, I really hope people don't think that I might be a little buzzed, maybe drunk still. First 3 possessions, all giveaways, all easy plays to retain possession. The third one, I take a touch too far to the point where a defender steals it and he's going to have a breakaway. So I just straight up tackle him. I just straight up, like, with my arm, one arm tackle him, just bring him to the ground. At which point a couple of my teammates who know that I'm generally good check on me and go, "Are you good? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like, "What do you mean? It's just, you don't really look like yourself, bud." And I'm like, no, I'm good. Don't worry about it. Just toes hurt a little bit. What I didn't realize, and the x-rays came back today, broke my toe. And I have a sprained wrist from when I brought the guy down. So dumb. And all this happened because I went to happy hour, definitely had one too many, ran late. Normally I'm at the field 30 minutes early, already have my socks on, already have my shorts on. Instead, a la butterfly effect, I end up getting to the field just on time for the game. I quickly throw on my socks. I smash my toes into a railing. And then I end up spraining my wrist because I took a touch that was too heavy because I couldn't plan on my left foot. So I had to bring him down or else he was going to score. I did score the game winner, though. That was kind of cool. I did eventually balance, but my God, K-Dot. I mean, talk about the dumbest injury. Like, I'm missing like a month of soccer now, as of right now. I've asked for the x-ray images because I'm like, come on, it can't actually be broken. It doesn't even hurt that much right now. I have been icing. I have been using ibuprofen and stuff like that, but it doesn't even hurt right now, K-Dot. I'm thinking I tape it up. I'm good to go. I'm like, it'll probably just be a few days, probably a partial fracture if that. They're like, no, it's broken. So I need to have a look at that. Fucking hell, and I can't even do this with my wrist right now. It's annoying.
I feel for you.
No, you don't. And you shouldn't. No, this is 100% my fault. This is ridiculous.
Well. I think you might not know the angle at which I'm going to take this. Okay. And
okay.
I want everybody in the comments right now to make sure that we're sticking in positive energy. Aaron Rodgers actually said that when he had the headset on in Hard Knocks.
The manifestation.
Manifestation. We need to work on dude, he would be my best friend. Like, we talk about the same shit. It's nuts. So I think everybody regaled your story because you actually repeated it twice. You gave us like a full blown after effect.
Yeah, the second
like
one was
Chris
full
Rock joke.
emotion.
It was like, just let's go through it. I think the Dish Divided family, I'll speak on behalf of everybody in the comments, everybody watching.
Thank you.
We're worried about you, buddy. And the reason we're worried about you is that we know you're lying. There's no chance 3 beers with the amount of cocaine that you consume on the weekends is enough for you to race across town, do the physical activity of running, break your toes, sprain your wrist, give all the giveaways and turnovers without you probably been a lot more fucked up than you're leading on. So we just want you to know it's okay. Like, you got to do it on your own time, right? Like, you got to do it on your own time. Once again, look at that apartment. Still got the water view. You're doing great, bud. And but there's such a thing as functional alcoholics and functional drug abusers. And I'm just worried that, like, you do a lot of work for this podcast, not work that I want to do. I want to be famous off the work you do, but I don't want to do all that. And
we're on the same page there. Yeah.
But you see, shit like this makes me feel as though we might have some rough patches and you need to get your shit together.
I was actually going to go the other way with that, my friend, because now I have more time than ever to work on this pod.
There's that, but there's also, I'm worried. Did they give you painkillers?
No, I'm just taking the ibuprofen. I'm good.
Just the ibuprofen?
Just the ibuprofen.
I would tell you. Yeah, I know you're doing a bunch of other booze. You're doing blow. I get that. That's a foregone conclusion, but you're just taking the ibuprofen. Like, we ain't got to worry about you also being on oxy, right?
No oxy. Right. I feel fine. Like, that's the frustrating part. I know
cocaine does that. It does an amazing job of making, like, what is more coke energy than what it is you explained? Like, everybody right now can visualize this. Ahmed, frazzled hair, in the bar, downing his fucking drinks, eking his queso bandito. Oh shit, guys, I got a soccer match I gotta get to. And fucking haul ass to the goddamn to the metro. Get off the goddamn metro. Things are not moving fast enough. And hop on a bike and fucking haul that. You know how many? There's probably a bunch of motorists yesterday talking about that fucking brown dude that we almost hit. What the fuck was he?
Actually, it's true. I did almost cross New York Ave and then realized the light turned green, and I quickly turned, gave a very sweet apology with what was previously an unsprained wrist.
Right.
And
but then you make it there, right? You make it there. You get there. You get change.
I do.
Once again, everyone could see the coke energy. He's fucking.
They knew I was drunk. Yeah.
Then he got drunk. I think you don't understand. We see this is not drunk behavior, bud. There's something else, right? But that with a bunch of blow has you breaking all kinds of shit. You broke. You fucking. What? Can you imagine how fast you were probably going down the goddamn bleachers? You're fucking full of coke energy. And you turn over everything. But what did you say you did? Still, at the end of the day, what'd you do? You kicked the game winner. If that's not more coke,
it was upper 90 as well. It was a sweet shot.
You were Matthew McConaughey and fucking Wolf of Wall Street. Like, you are just so much blow energy, bud. And
I'm adaptable.
Brother, the amount of money you're spending on that nose candy, you could have a house with a water view at this point, man. You know, condo life is not. I mean, come on, dude. Like, you elevate your game. Like, you could have a mansion right now. You shouldn't even have to be doing the amount of coke money you spend.
Okay, you know what? I need to be 100% clear for anyone that's new watching this and still watching this. I do not do cocaine. I have never done cocaine. You keep saying it, and it's to the point that I'm beginning to believe I have.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, in the comments section, I need you to flood it with well wishes. And we understand that we're a family. Like, is it okay that he's lying to us? No, it's not. It's not, but he can't help it. It's not him. It's that It's that sweet Bolivian nose candy that's fucking doing this shit. It's okay, man. Like, it's not okay. We need to hold you accountable, right? Like, if I'm gonna hold you accountable to know a movie director, I should hold you accountable not doing blow every goddamn day, right? Like, at the very least. I mean, I think one's more important than the other, but I mean, yeah, you gotta calm it down, man. Like, hopefully, now usually something like this is enough to spur someone on to doing better, right? Like, I got a list of NA meetings if you ever want to attend. But the way that you regaled that story,
Anonymous, is that?
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
Man, meet at churches, a bunch of other places. They're amazing places. Lots of love Lots of love.
Do you like that?
You know, and anybody that's ever been to an NA meeting, no, they've heard this story that you just spun tons of times. Is it okay that he lied? No, it's not. It's not okay that you lie on us, but we also understand it's not you. It's not the truest form of you. Like, A-Train's got to go. You know, the A-Train needs to we need to put that train somewhere in a goddamn abandoned yard away from everybody else and let the true Ahmet Singh shine. And right now, I'm
you know what's kind of worrying?
What I was going to say is that usually you got something like this gets people to change. But because you lied to us and regaled the story about 3 beers made me act all crazy. 3 beers.
That's just a lightweight on the day.
We've seen you pump back beers on this show. We've seen
that's
you like,
true. But it's a relaxed environment. I don't anticipate that I'm going to need to run on
the
bike.
idea that you think that us in Addition Divided family think that 3 beers for coked up A-Train is enough to have him breaking his toes and not realize it. Well, man, we weren't
should
born
have had
yesterday.
more water at the happy hour. I should have had more water throughout the day.
Less Coke.
You know what's funny about this is, right? I don't do Coke, but A-Train is very real. Like this persona of A-Train. That's what's happening for me.
Is that what's happening? So Ahmet had 3 beers. A-Train did Coke in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
So Ahmet was good. Ahmet had 3 beers from Queso Fundido. He was there with the fam. He was there with old roommate, girlfriend. Good time.
Some Fight Club, Mr. Robot bullshit.
Ahmet left for a moment. A-Train did some shit. Then when Ahmet came back, all he knew is that he was full of energy and needed to go to play soccer. Is that what's happening?
You talk about something else. What's on your mind?
You just admitted that A-Train exists. I get it.
No.
Does he talk to you? Is it like United States of Tara? Is it just to turn on, turn off? You not realize it's happening? Like, what?
I mean, that would be wild. Fortunately, that's not the case, but that would be wild.
I would just say, if you're in Clarendon on a Friday night and you see Ahmet, it is not Ahmet, it's A-Train, and you need to act accordingly and approach him like you'd approach an Urson.
You should release
like a giant polar bear, like a grizzly bear.
You should release a guide what to do if you see this
make eye
person.
Contact.
Don't
leave bottles of water. You don't know what's going to happen. He might tackle you and break a body part. He might tackle you and break his body parts in the moment of doing so. Like he might do that.
I would also like to formally apologize to the person I did one-arm tackle when I took that heavy touch. It was unnecessary. Well, it was necessary. I thought I was going to get a card for it, frankly. That would have been the worst 1-minute cameo of all time. Just give up the ball 3 times, get a yellow, go right back out, and have to explain, yep, I need to work a little more off. Right.
I think what we need to understand and knowing about this gentleman that got hurt is that drug abuse does not just hurt those that do it. It hurts people around them. And we need to be aware of that.
How do you keep a straight face through all this?
Because it's true.
It's not true.
I mean, we can laugh, we can regale, and this is such a pleasant
This is getting one day. There's no way anyone's watching at this point.
Well, I would say that if they care about your well-being, they should be here and they should drop some love in the comments.
Please do drop some love in the comments.
Just some heart emojis.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And just for me and you, if you know what he's doing, right? If you know, like I do, what he's doing, just leave a nice circle of the color of the Bolivian nose candy that we know he's fucking.
You gotta be kidding! I swear, if we see even one comment like that, I'm just.
So the photos that I sent earlier, how accurate are they? Do you
They're
waste
not
that much
accurate.
In the
They're
you
not
just throw
accurate.
It up in the air?
No, I don't. I don't do.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
it's that.
You also
simple.
realize it wasn't AI. I just hired someone to go follow Ahmet around.
Oh, go fuck yourself. You know what? We're about to wrap up. We'll see you guys next week.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.